Night falls, and the magic of words is burning firefly-like in the darkness. I am the Gargoyle, your host for this evening session. We are a bit late this week. Power outage here prevented me from recording last night, so apologies for that. Coming up in the darkness, I will be doing something a bit different tonight. I will be reading a chapter of a work in progress of mine. I'm still working on it, but I would love to hear your opinions on it in the comments below. Please note, though, that this story is only intended for mature audiences. So sit back and enjoy. And as always, the focus is on the words, never on the person behind the camera. And if you like this video, please consider subscribing, ringing that bell, and commenting below. I am the Gargoyle, your reader on the ledge. Untitled story, schizophrenia, a long-term mental disorder of a type involving a breakdown in the relation between thought, emotion, and behavior, leading to faulty perception, inappropriate actions and feelings, withdrawal from reality and personal relationships into fantasy and delusion, and a sense of mental fragmentation. 1 minute after 4 a.m. Monday, July 25th, 2015. The silence smothers me, choking and constricting as I lie in the dark room. The only sounds, the rhythmic ticking of the faded cat clock on the wall, eyes never closing, just ticking endlessly away in the mid-morning panic of my existence. Sleep eluded me again last night as I lay listening to the couple upstairs fucking. I wondered what it felt like to be that vulnerable, to be that loved by another human being. The thought drifted away as I heard the din of the city traffic humming outside my window. The chef of the local Korean restaurant on the block below me clattered a dented garbage can noisily around in the alley. He was most likely still high from his last heroin binge. I often saw the bloody needles he left behind near the dumpster. White drops lying corpse-like on the used needle tips. I tried using drugs once, thought it would help me to escape, to quiet the voice screaming, whispering, laughing in my mind. But there would be no escaping her. She was with me, every downtrodden and tired step I took. I lay looking at the manicured hand in front of my voice, lit up by the goddamn neon laundry sign shining through my window. The ludicrously happy colors danced over the black veneer nail polish as I flexed my fingers and lay my head back on the cushion again. Where did I find Rachel? She wasn't always with me, and I was normal back in school. But what is normal? I came from a nondescript family, neither rich nor poor, just middle class. Nor did I stand out in class, a grey character that people would try to remember at school reunions, snap their fingers and instantly forget about. Instantly forgettable, gone like the tepid steam rising from the sewer grates. All I could really remember of my past was the nightmares. They still came to me like unwelcome visitors over the holidays. The flashes of me being tied to a chair, the sweat-stained leather straps cutting into my flesh, struck the needle into my brain. The masks' faces swirling around me, the heart monitors beeping sadistically as I tried to scream and claw my way free. Then I remembered entering their minds, like opening a door into the unknown doctor leering over me, the smell of the cancer patient he had screwed earlier lingering about him like a cheap whore. His mind was a room, and I saw everything, the memories, the regrets, the pain of his divorce. I touched the deepest and darkest parts he tried to hide away from the world, seeing him licking his lips as he stared at his underage cousin's pictures on Facebook for a little too long. It was all there within touching distance of my fingertips. I reached for a jar of his future hopes, feeling the power that I could just let it go and watch his world shatter around him. They pulled me back and the world became dark around me again. I woke up sitting on a park bench the next day, and they were gone, like they had never existed. They had left me wondering if I imagined everything, if it was all a dream. But I was not alone anymore. Rachel was with me from that day on, my counterpoint, my balance in the madness of my life. She was the light, the spark to my darkness. But she never took over, guiding me through life. Her fire was in me, but I was still in control back then, holding her back when she wanted to set fire to the world. Lately, her voice had grown stronger, urging, coaxing me forward. More risks, more excitement, more danger. But I kept her quiet and resisted the urge to misuse the curse they had given me. I used it once on my landlord, a wretch of a woman that smoked cheap Chinese cigarettes and never changed out of her tattered nightgown. She also secretly downloaded child porn pictures on her cell phone while listening to an overweight preacher shout forgiveness and compassion on the television. She thought she could hide everything from me, but I saw every dirty and fucked up thing in her mind. Rachel stood behind me, whispering in my ear that we could so easily turn her entire world to ashes with just the merest of thoughts. I kept her quiet and simply erased the thoughts of my monthly rent from her mind. What she did in the privacy of her room was her business and had nothing to do with me, so I let it go. Was there shame that I did nothing to her? Of course there was, but I kept to myself. The world didn't need another hero, parading on Twitter the virtues of clean living, God, the flag, and America, till they found him high and 2 knuckles deep in an underage gay cocktail waitress from Vegas. The world didn't need another hero. I stared at my hand again. The black nail varnish had vanished, and I knew Rachel was quiet again. My morning ritual was the same every damn day as I got ready for work, and I preferred it like that. 9 to 5 in a nondescript office building with grey cubicle walls and cookie-cutter managers. That was my existence. Instantly forgettable. Just a face you could barely remember a few minutes later. The postboy had to ask my name every day, and I always told him it didn't matter. I was just another face in the crowd. Passing by my landlady as I headed down the steps, she leered at me through last night's leftover eyeshadow. She wanted to remind me of something, but she could not for the life of her remember what. I felt so familiar, like she knew me, but the memory faded away as she headed indoors to her church program, shaking her head as she went. I knew everyone that I passed by, walking the 5 blocks to work. The Portuguese coffee shop owner, the lady who ran the nearly bankrupt flower shop on the corner, the diabetic hot dog vendor. Every thought, dream or fear was there before me, but I never entered their rooms. They did nothing to me, so I simply walked on. I always arrived 10 minutes early to work, never standing out or drawing attention. My computer hummed away as I leaned out of my cubicle, tasting the burn of the instant coffee on my lips. Oh God, Mr. Rutgers was wearing his garishly loud flower tie again. His wife, or mistress, I can never remember which, gave it to him as a birthday present. He thought it made him look wacky and young. I thought it made him look like an overcompensating asshole, but said nothing. My thoughts were interrupted from this hideous piece of cloth dangling noose-like around his neck as I peered over my shoulder. The smell of slightly burnt toast and discount perfume drifting gently through the office. The best part of my morning was about to walk past me. Kathy Smith was a company intern that started last month, and she was an outcast like me, stumbling on her worn-out heels with a stack of folders under her arms. Clumsy and bitterly shy, the others would often laugh at her behind her back. We would often sit together lunchtime, but she rarely said anything. Maybe she liked my company, but I would often find her glancing at me through the slivers of her blonde hair. She had the most beautiful blue eyes, and I loved her rosy cheeks. When lunch was finished, she would neatly fold the leftover sandwich paper, smile at me, and go back to the office without saying a word. I didn't mind that with Kathy. She was the best part of my day. As I was about to turn back to the spreadsheets before me, I heard the shuffling of slightly less than expensive shoes on the corn blue carpet of the office. Matt Sims was one of those ex-jock types that could never make it in college football, always blaming the system or his knees or what the fuck ever, and was too much of a dumbass to find a decent job anywhere. So he became a middle manager in the office. He was a bully, and a loud one at that, stomping through the rows of cubicles like he was back on the football field. Essentially useless at his job. Nobody had the guts to tell it to his face. I saw him out of the corner of my eye with a coffee cup, world's best son, clutched in his meaty paws as he ogled the boss's secretary again, thinking he was hot shit or something. He wasn't paying attention and clattered into Kathy, sending her lunchbox and stack of files tumbling to the ground. I saw him scream at her, standing over the almost pathetic form as he waved his now empty coffee cup in her direction. With a callous and cruel act, he stepped on her remaining sandwich, spreading the butter and cheese over the floor. Laughing at the trembling and visibly shaking Kathy, he sneered and walked past her, wiping the coffee from his less than expensive sleeve. "Do it," whispered Rachel, as I quietly got up and left my cubicle. My dark passenger took me and led me by the hand down the now eerily quiet office corridors. I tried helping Kathy up, but she pulled her hand away, too ashamed to look me in the eye. The tears were running down her cheap makeup, leaving ragged black trails in her mascara. Eyes narrowing, I walked after him and grabbed him by the shoulders as he stood alone by the water cooler. The lout spun around, eyes widening in surprise that anyone had dared touch him. "What do you want, queerbite?" His breath stunk of musty cheese sandwiches and whatever booze of slightly less than expensive booze he had last night. "You didn't say sorry." My voice was deadly calm, never raising an octave, not even for a second. "You want me to do something about it, fag? Is that it?" He stabbed me in the chest with his pork sign-like fingers. "Maybe I should take your little girlfriend to the storage closet and show her what a real man is. Open her mouth that way." He licked his lips, catching the last drops of coffee on his unshaven stubble. And then I did what I promised myself I would never do again. I reached out and entered his mind. The room was neat and tidy, the product of an overly strict mother that breastfed him way too long. I could see the shame when he masturbated for the first time to gay porn, followed moments later when he and his football friends would go out on the town, looking for transsexual prostitutes to beat up. I could hear him calling them fag and homo as the baseball bat crashed down on their skulls. His doubts and fears were folded away in closets. The memory of pissing himself on the football field when that linebacker hit him and he broke his knee. I saw all those memories in front of my eyes. And then finally, I found a small box containing his future. Never to go past middle management. He would have to marry one of the office girls he accidentally got pregnant one year. They would have 2 children together, both dropouts and screw-ups like him. He would cheat on his wife many times before she left him, taking the children with her. Matt would give himself over to alcohol every night for the rest of his life, finally ending it at the age of 42 with a self-inflicted gunshot to the head. "Take his future from him," Rachel purred, her curly long red hair draped over my shoulder as she held out a box of matches. Feeling the coarse carton under my fingers, I pulled out a match and lit it. The red and white flames danced in her eyes and I let it go. The room burst into a cascading hell of flames and fire. We stepped back and watched Matt Sims' mind burn before our eyes. The football pictures of past glories on the walls cracked as the glass split, the broken toys of his childhood melting away into sludge. Everything burnt. I exited his room and headed back to my cubicle, saying nothing but calmly going back to work. Rachel was sitting on my desk, quietly smiling to herself and buffing her long red fingernails. The computer hummed on unabated, but I could feel the power inside me, and it felt good. We left him a drooling and shitting mess by the water cooler. Some would later say he had a stroke, but the last thing I heard was him being taken to the local psychiatric institution, where he would spend the rest of his days chewing on crayons and pawing at the empty air. We had crossed the line. and I didn't care anymore. It felt damn good to be in charge again. The world was at our fingertips, and the possibilities were endless. My name is Nathaniel Klein. My name is Rachel Montgomery. In the outside world, we are the grey, nameless shadows passing you by. In your mind, we are gods. Open the door and let us in. Thank you so much for that. I really hope you enjoyed that chapter, and I would love to hear your comments on this story. Like I said, this is a work in progress, but I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, I am the gargoyle, your reader on the ledge.